But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. My name is Nathan Caldwell. For 30 years, I've worked as a commercial real estate attorney in Seattle, Washington, specializing in untangling messy contracts and spotting loopholes others overlook. My career thrives on precision, foresight, and a knack for staying one step ahead. Sadly, I didn't apply that same vigilance to my marriage until it was nearly too late. The call came on a rainy Tuesday morning. I was in Chicago, wrapping up a deal for a logistics firm acquiring a distribution center. 3 days into my trip, 2,000 miles from home, and my wife, Lauren, chose that moment to drop the bomb. "I'm done, Nathan," she said over the phone, her voice sharp with a confidence I'd heard in too many divorce stories. "I sold the Puget Sound cabin. Eric and I are starting over." She laughed, a cold, dismissive sound that cut deeper than her words. I kept my voice steady. "I understand." Eric Harper, her personal trainer for the last 9 months, was a 32-year-old with a leased Tesla he couldn't afford, and a habit of eyeing my vintage Omega watch like it was his birthright. Lauren and I had been married for 14 years. The cabin, a 3-bedroom retreat on Whidbey Island with cedar walls and a deck overlooking the Sound, was my pride. I'd poured my savings, $1.8 million, into it, plus a mortgage, and spent weekends fixing the roof, upgrading the fireplace, and sanding the deck. Lauren called it our sanctuary. I believed her. "I closed the sale yesterday," she continued, sounding almost annoyed by my calm. "Buyers move in next week. I figured you're always traveling, so you can crash at the Westin when you're back." "When did you sign the papers?" I asked. "Friday. It's a done deal, Nathan. A clean break." After we hung up, I sat in my hotel room, staring at the Chicago skyline through sheets of rain. Then I opened my laptop and emailed 2 people, Sarah Nguyen, my title agent for 15 years, and Greg Sullivan, my attorney since before I met Lauren. Subject line, urgent, fraudulent property sale attempt. Outside, the windy city churned under gray clouds. Lauren thought she knew me, predictable, passive, a pushover. But she'd missed one critical detail. You don't spend 2 decades in real estate law without learning how to protect what's yours. I met Lauren Mitchell 15 years ago at a real estate expo in Portland. She was a marketing director for a high-end condo developer, all polished smiles and razor-sharp ambition. I was drawn to her energy, her ability to command a room. We married a year later in a small ceremony on Bainbridge Island, just her parents and my sister as witnesses. The Whidbey cabin came 3 years after that. I'd spend weekends there, replacing windows or staining the deck, while Lauren planned dinner parties and picked out throw pillows. "This is our forever place," she'd said, clinking her wine glass against mine on our first night there, the Sound glittering under the moonlight. 5 years ago, we were at that same cabin, sitting by the fire after a long day of hiking. Lauren was quieter than usual, staring into the flames. "Do you ever feel stuck, Nathan?" she asked. "Like we're just going through the motions?" I thought she was talking about work stress. "We can shake things up," I said. "Maybe a trip to Italy?" She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Yeah, maybe." Looking back, that was the first sign I missed. For a decade, we made it work. Lauren left marketing to start a boutique event planning business, which let her tag along on my trips to London, Sydney, or Tokyo when schedules aligned. We'd turn work into weekend getaways, sipping espresso in Rome or exploring temples in Kyoto. I thought we were solid. The cracks showed 2 years ago. She stopped asking about my cases, stopped joining me abroad. Her texts became clipped. "Good luck in court, safe flight. No more I miss you or hurry home." Then came the gym. 6 days a week with Eric, a former collegiate rower turned trainer. I was supportive at first. Her energy seemed back, her confidence restored. But then I noticed charges on our joint card. Dinners I wasn't invited to. Weekend wellness retreats with friends I'd never heard of. 18 months ago, we were at a friend's wedding in Tacoma. Lauren was radiant, dancing with everyone but me. Late in the night, I found her outside, on her phone, laughing in a way she hadn't with me in months. Just a client, she said when I asked, slipping the phone into her purse. I didn't push, but I started watching closer. I didn't hire a PI or snoop through her phone. I just observed, cataloged, and prepared. 10 months ago, I placed the cabin in a revocable living trust, tucked into a stack of refinance papers for our rental condo in Capitol Hill. Lauren signed without reading, distracted by her phone while Greg waited patiently. This protects us both, I told her. Not a lie, but not the full truth. In Chicago, after Lauren's call, I pulled the cabin's deed from my briefcase, a habit from a case early in my career when a client tried to dodge a deal over missing paperwork. The deed confirmed the property was held in the Nathan Caldwell Living Trust, with me as sole trustee. Lauren had no legal right to sell it. I called Greg while walking through Millennium Park, rain soaking my coat. She can't sell what she doesn't own, he said after I explained. It's fraud. The buyers have no claim. And Lauren? I asked. Attempting to sell property she doesn't own? That's criminal fraud. Charges are possible, but I'm guessing that's not what you want. It wasn't. I didn't want Lauren in jail, but I wouldn't let her steal my home. Greg promised to flag the property with the county recorder and notify title companies. The sale was dead in the water. I canceled my Chicago meetings, citing a family emergency, and booked a red-eye to Seattle. On the flight, I didn't sleep or work. I just sat, a strange calm settling over me. For years, I'd navigated high-stakes deals for clients, finding leverage in the fine print. Now, I'd do it for myself. This wasn't revenge. It was balance. I didn't tell Lauren I was coming home early. I rented a car at SeaTac and drove the hour to Whidbey Island, the Puget Sound glinting under a rare February sun. It was Wednesday noon when I pulled into the cabin's gravel driveway. A red Jeep I didn't recognize sat in my spot. Eric's, I assumed. The front door was unlocked. Laughter drifted from the kitchen. Lauren and a man's voice discussing paint colors. The gray will make the deck pop, he said. Buyers love neutral. I set my bag down and walked in. Lauren stood at the island in a sweater I didn't recognize, holding a coffee mug. Eric, in a tight gym shirt, leaned beside her, pointing at a tablet. They froze when they saw me. Nathan, Lauren said, her smile flickering. You're early. Clearly, I replied, glancing at Eric, who stepped back, hands in his pockets. This is awkward, Eric said with a forced chuckle. I'll head out. Stay, I said, my tone even. This involves you too. Lauren's eyes narrowed. Don't make this harder than it needs to be, Nathan. I've been miserable for years. We both need to move on. I agree, I said. Which is why I've already spoken to my attorney about the fraudulent sale you tried to pull. Her face paled. What? I opened my briefcase and slid the trust documents across the island. The cabin isn't yours to sell, Lauren. It's been in a trust for 10 months. You signed the transfer last April. Remember those refinance papers you didn't read? Eric looked at Lauren. You said the sale was locked in. It is, she snapped, but her voice wavered. She grabbed the papers, scanning them. This can't be legal. It's airtight, I said. The buyer's been notified. The sale's void. Eric muttered something about waiting outside and bolted. Lauren's shock turned to anger. You set me up, she hissed. No, I said. I protected my assets. You chose to sign without reading. That's on you. She switched tactics, her voice softening. Nathan, let's be reasonable. We can split the money. No lawyers. Too late, I said. The buyers are pissed about being sold a property you don't own. They're exploring their options. You should talk to a lawyer. I grabbed my bag. I'm at the Hilton downtown tonight to give you space, but I'm moving back in tomorrow. This cabin isn't going anywhere. As I walked out, she shouted, This isn't over, Nathan. I didn't look back. 3 years ago, we were in Paris, a rare trip where Lauren joined me. We were at a cafe near the Seine, and she was sketching table settings for a client's wedding. I want to build something big, Nathan, she said. My own brand, not just planning parties for rich people. I admired her drive, promised to support her. We're a team, I said. She squeezed my hand, but her eyes were already elsewhere. Thursday morning, I met Greg at his office in Pioneer Square. The place was quiet, just us and a stack of documents. She's been planning this for a while, Greg said, sliding a folder toward me. Bank statements showed Lauren had siphoned $120,000 from our joint savings into a new account. Another document revealed a lease for a storefront in Bellevue, signed by Lauren and Eric for an upscale wellness studio. The kicker: the cabin's buyer was a shell company owned by Eric's cousin, Matt Harper. They were going to flip the cabin for a profit after you were forced to negotiate, Greg said. This wasn't just a divorce play, it was a heist. The betrayal wasn't just Eric or the cabin. It was the calculation, months, maybe years, of planning to gut our life for her new one. I felt a shift, not anger, but a cold resolve. This was about accountability now. What's our play? I asked. Greg outlined a settlement. Lauren returns 75% of the stolen funds, relinquishes any claim to the cabin, and I waive rights to her business. In exchange, no fraud charges. If she refused, we'd pursue every legal avenue, including criminal ones. By afternoon, Lauren's lawyer, a guy named Todd with a cheap suit and a nervous tic, texted Greg, claiming the cabin was marital property. Greg laughed. The trust is bulletproof. They're bluffing. I spent the day untangling our finances. At Sound Credit Union, I closed our joint accounts with the help of a manager I'd known from a past deal. I canceled Lauren's gym membership, a $200 monthly charge to Eric's studio, and updated my insurance and HR benefits. My phone buzzed with voicemails from Lauren, her sister, and Todd. I ignored them. Friday, I drove back to the cabin. The Jeep was gone, but Lauren's Audi was there. She was in the living room, packing a suitcase. She glared as I walked in. "You're ruining everything," she said. "Eric and I were building something real." "With my money and my cabin?" I asked. "Tell me, Lauren, was it worth it?" She didn't answer, just zipped her bag. "My lawyer says we'll fight this in court." "Then tell him to read the trust," I said. "And tell Matt Harper to withdraw his offer by 5 p.m. today, or he's named in the fraud investigation." Her eyes widened. "You wouldn't." "Try me." By 4 p.m., Greg called. Matt had backed out. I changed the locks, installed a new security system with cameras, and ordered takeout from the oyster bar Lauren and I used to love. Sitting on the deck, watching the Sound's waves roll in, I felt not triumph, but clarity. The cabin was mine. So was my future. 10 years ago, at the cabin's housewarming, Lauren was the life of the party, charming our friends with stories of our travels. Later, alone on the deck, she leaned against me, her head on my shoulder. "I want to be someone, Nathan," she whispered. "Not just your wife." I thought she meant together. I was wrong. 3 weeks later, we sat in Greg's conference room. Lauren's lawyer, Todd, fidgeted as Greg presented the evidence: the trust deed, bank records, and Matt Harper's affidavit admitting the scam. Lauren stared at the table, silent. "We'll settle," Todd said after a whispered argument with Lauren. "She'll return 75% of the funds, waive claims to the cabin, and you drop any criminal pursuit." Lauren finally spoke, her voice low. "You win, Nathan." I signed the papers. She did too, her hand shaking. Our eyes met for a moment, and I saw not anger, but exhaustion. 14 years, reduced to a signature. 8 months later, I stood on the cabin's deck, coffee in hand, the morning mist curling over the Sound. I'd replaced the old cedar siding, added skylights, and rebuilt the fireplace. The cabin felt new, unburdened by the past. I'd heard Lauren and Eric's wellness studio in Bellevue was limping along, underfunded and poorly reviewed. I felt no joy in their struggle, just a quiet regret for what we'd lost. The divorce was final, the funds returned, and I'd invested them in a small office park in Fremont, already generating steady income. My phone rang. Sarah Nguyen, my title agent. "Found a new property," she said. "Waterfront lot in Port Townsend. Perfect for a trust setup. You in?" "Send the specs," I said, smiling. "I'm ready." I hung up and walked to the edge of the deck. The Sound stretched before me, its rhythm steady, unbroken. I wasn't just reclaiming a house. I was rebuilding a life. That morning, I made a promise to myself. No more blind trust, no more missed signs. I'd live with eyes wide open, anchored by what I'd learned and what I'd fought to keep. As the sun broke through the clouds, I turned back to the cabin, my sanctuary, and started the day.